Hey, how's it going? Happy 4th. If you're a person that celebrates that American holiday. I have spent the day much in the way I spend most of my days around the house, not doing much of anything. And that's just my way of saying that there's no special big holiday thing happening. I mean, I could be out somewhere enjoying some sort of public festivity, but I'm not because my older kitty is on his way out, I guess. Or not, I guess, I know. He's dying, basically. So I've just been spending a lot of time with him, and he's really been hanging on. He's just over my shoulder here. Um, it's been a good place to keep him because I can keep him clean, and he has a really bad upper respiratory thing going on, so I can give him steam, which he seems to like, and I gave him a nice lukewarm shower, and he it was the first time he didn't. Well, he's very weak, but he was annoyed at first, but then when I got him settled out of the water and on the towel, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so much better," and I know he must have because he just wasn't smelling very good. But he's a trooper. He's just hanging on as long as he can. But also, I have been watching some YouTube, as I usually do, and wow, there's some like not great stuff to hear out there. I actually would stay away from news related stuff. I should stay away from news related stuff. But I've been starting a lot of it and just shutting it off because it's too it just wants to be negative. I mean, it's like there's no or very little, like once you hear all the bad stuff, and alternatively there's on the positive side blah, like there's not a whole lot of that. But I did see a couple of things that I think we should take note of. I'm not going to talk about them here. I could leave links in the comment section. There was two videos that were super kind of like, well, they touched me. And the first one was a reading by a gentleman. I'll put a link to the video, but it's what he was talking about in there that was really getting me. But the one that super got me, I don't want to start using super because I mean, I don't not start using it. I've always used it here and there, but I watched something else today where I was like, man, that guy just super. That guy just said super 5 times in a row. And then, of course, you see something and you're like a parrot or a minor bird or whatever, and you find yourself doing it. Anyway, the second one, though, that I watched that I found really affected me was a stand up routine that I guess this couple had decided to record with themselves in the frame. Like they were reacting to it, so I guess it was supposed to be one of those things. But it was a Ralphie May stand up, and I will put the link for that in there too in the comment section here. But the thing I liked best about it was he pointed out something that we have so many problems with each other, humans on Earth. I'm not going to just confine these remarks to my country, but I mean that's where I see the most of this in action. So yeah, I'm going to talk about America. So yeah, we're kind of like hating on each other, a lot of us, and well, I'm again it. I mean, we have differences. I actually like that in people because I already know same stuff. I want to know, new and different, novel and interesting, including people and like their lives and what's that all about. So, what he was saying was Ralphie May. was that racism is like he called it a hologram. You could call it an op, you could call it a mind game, but it's definitely a diversion of the. I'm just gonna say that if you know anything about MK Ultra, look it up if you don't. It's really interesting and it'll probably piss you off. But it happened a really long time ago. But I think it would be foolish to think that they're not still trying to employ what they learned. And I'm not even going to say trying. The point I'm trying to make about it is this: they have refined it in such a way, I believe, that they've conditioned us through programming to do it to ourselves. And that's what he meant, I think, by it's a hologram or an op or whatever. But also, yes, a distraction, because the other point he was making, well, it's still part of his same point, I guess. But the government, the powers that be, the corporations, whoever wants to like rule what happens and what people do and the things that are going on right now. And so it's not that, oh, black people this and white people that, and, Mexicans or Asians or whatever, Jews, whatever the whole thing is. It's like, and I've never bought into any of that, by the way, but because I've gotten to know like almost every other group of people that are complained about growing up, and they're not monsters and they're not scary and they're not aliens, and even the ones that are overseas, or they're in situations that I have no concept of. I mean, I don't know what motivates desperate people in violent, dangerous situations. I don't live like that, so I don't know. But I do know ones that if they came from it, they didn't bring it with them. They're not that way. And I think the ones that I know, I'm thinking of Iran in particular, Iran, excuse me, in particular, because I grew up with a bunch of Persians, or at one point of schooling, so like middle school, so 3 years, or high school, whatever, well, middle school. And they were in my neighborhood too. There were Persians. Like something happened political, you can look that up, and then it became Iranians. I think it was the Shah of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, which is confusing because there's a lot of Khomeinis that have come after, but this particular Ayatollah back in the 80s, I think, is when they stopped being Persia and turned into Iran. I think. It's been a while, but I'm pretty sure that's right. But look it up if you're curious. Anyway, though, he said it's not about any of that. Like, that's not even real, because he says, I'm from Alabama, and everybody, he's like, people, it's rich and poor. And we know this in Alabama. It's like, if you're not rich, there's all this. Well, I'm not going to try and redo his whole act, but that's the differences between us. And it's not, and this is what I've been saying recently too, like, it's not us against each other that is the problem. Like, people against the minorities, we're generally like poor and not as well educated as someone with more money, perhaps, and better housing and healthier lifestyle because it just wasn't available. But that does not give us the superpower to take your jobs from you, or like whatever you feel like is being removed from you somehow. It's not the minority that has the power to do that. It's not the gay person, it's not the trans person. And by the way, those things, if they bother you that much, it's really not about them. You got to know that, right? Like, you just got to get rid of them so they don't bother you anymore. Well, what if it was dogs? Like, you probably like dogs, but what if you just had some kind of wild hair one day and you were like, I hate dogs now. I can't look at a dog. I don't want a dog near me. Dogs should not exist. What about all the other people that love dogs? What about, like, does that analogy make any sense? Because, I mean, as a juxtaposition to the other one, as an example of something else that's exactly the same. To me, it makes sense, but I hope it makes sense to other people. And I didn't pick on dogs because I'm a cat person. I'm an animal person. Dogs, I just know people love dogs. So if you treated a dog like some people want to treat gay and trans people, well, people love them too. And just because they're finally feeling like their true selves, and they call their movement, it was, well, I think Pride Month ended, but people, I guess, were bothered by people being prideful, and I don't think it's about that. I think it's about people telling you that you're less than, that you shouldn't exist, you are bad, and you're like, wait, what did I do? Because you may have this one difference in you, and that's like, but everything else is the same, and it's that one thing, and it's like the end. And it's like, do you want your dogs or your loved ones treated that way? Do you want yourself treated that way? I mean, what could make you want something away from you that stridently? And I'm not a trained anything. I'm just an observer, but how many times have we seen people just decry and destroy the thing that they essentially at their secret heart are? And I'm not, putting anyone down for that. I'm sorry that they feel that way. It must feel horrible to not be able to face something to that degree where you would wish harm on not just a person that did something to you that you have a beef with, but with like a whole swath of people that I don't even know if that's even a big enough representation. But Ralphie May, in his routine, puts that down because it's not the stuff about how someone may feel about themselves, but how media and the people that we admire and agitators and lobbyists of a sort, when it comes to media, uh, infection of ideas. I'm sorry, I just blanked out. Like, too many words were coming to mind. But yeah, dissemination. There you go. Finally. I'm missing an item, and I know it's on the way, and I can't wait to have it because I would have just used it to accent what I'm saying. But soon come. Okay, sorry, don't mean to kick my stand there. Okay, so with everything that's been going on in the country and my sort of meh feeling about holidays, kind of in general, for a number of reasons. I have nothing wrong with the reason why the holiday exists. It's not Christmas. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to explain that right now, but I mean, it's just basically another day. When you're not out like participating in all kinds of activities and doing all the holiday whooping it up, it just kind of doesn't really feel like much more than whatever day of the week it is. And then also, I am having like dissatisfaction, confusion. Do I even want to still have this system that we've had since forever? And I don't know that I want to get rid of it either, because I don't know what the heck I think it would be replaced with, but it needs work. It needs to like rehabilitate big time. And I know things that are happening with violence and hatred and separation and all of that is a thrashing about because of change in action. But still, sitting there, even no matter what you're aware of, it's still hard to take, And so I have doubts about our, great institution of democracy, because especially right now when everyone is basically the swamp has been drained, and you can see all of the bad stuff and the bad intentions. And I, it's funny because Trump did do what his followers and the people that love him said he would do. He did drain the swamp and expose the corruption. I just don't think they were expecting him to be part of it. But, you know, everything is kind of connected when it comes to government. And it may seem like, and is sometimes, I guess, an ignorance of what one hand is doing and the other hand not having a clue, but not always, not at every level. I mean, I don't think as a person like outside of it, we have any idea of the density and complexity of its operations, of its internal movements. I mean, I can only liken it to my own body where there's all kinds of processes going on and they're just autonomous. I have no idea how they run except for like I may have read something about it or whatever, but I'm not in there seeing it take place. I'm imagining like a steel forge with a poop waterfall. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in there. Just very vaguely. Um, but it works, and I know like how to feed it and how to like treat it if it messes up a little bit, and I know what to do to not screw it up. I mean, I know that kind of thing, but that's kind of how the government is. I can read as many constitutions and histories and blah 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 and all that I want, but it takes. I mean, look at a historian. They spend a lifetime focusing on maybe an area of history that requires a lot of time and study, and you got to want to do it too. So I just know that the government does work in a lot of ways, and then in other ways, for a lot of people, it really doesn't work, and it doesn't seem right now like both hands know what the others are doing. It. I don't think that's the case, and I'm specifically referring to the January 6th stuff and what the DOJ is or is not doing in Merrick Garland. Like, we have never known what's going on in those investigations, and they've always taken a long time. They have never come out and said, here's an update on what's going on. I think that when that Mueller thing was happening and they kept making him come out and talk, and he was obviously reluctant, he didn't want to do it. He was busy and he had enough. Like, but that was unusual. You don't get we've never gotten updates like that in my lifetime. I'm kind of old. Like, some pretty serious stuff has happened in my lifetime. There's never been updates to these investigations, and people that are old enough to know, I don't know why they're not remembering, and people that are not old enough to know, if you're researching it or studying it at all, it says how long things like the Warren Commission took or the 9/11 Commission took. So, I mean, be happy that you're getting to hear anything. But all of that stuff, that does not make me feel good and hopeful about the state of the government. Like, the body has got some sick in there, got some illness. The appendages, the houses of Congress and the Senate, and then the Supreme Court, or all of the courts, they're all just like infected, and they're not. I don't know how they were ever supposed to work for long to like the stated expectation, if it ever happened, if it was ever true, or the reality. Because I remember as a kid growing up and like the sort of black civil rights cases that either were happening or that I was learning about. The people administrating over the legal proceedings were super like racist. Sorry, it may be a hologram, but everybody sort of bought into it. So anyway, yeah, they were pretty clear that like they didn't like niggers and we should die and hang and shut up about it and be happy because We made the Civil War happen. The black people did. Because we had all the power to make a whole war happen, to affect the whole economy. It's like the fingers get pointed in the wrong direction, and all of the stuff is there for people to see, but they just see what they choose to see, what's convenient. So, like the courts, yeah, those are the people I'm talking about, the justices. It's interesting that some people understand it in a way where, like, minorities shouldn't complain. They shouldn't feel like they have anything to complain about. And then I suppose we should be happy that people always want to kill us and, have horrible things to say about us and want to send us back. Well, I can't go back to somewhere I've never been. So sorry about that. But if you want to send me on a trip, I'll trade in that Africa ticket and go somewhere else. I don't want to go to Africa. I mean, no, thank you, but no. And they're not going to do that anyway. I guess I'm just supposed to sprout wings and retro rockets out of my butt and fly there, which also is not going to happen. I can't even do that to get to Safeway 3 blocks away because there's a big intersection I'm afraid to cross in my wheelchair. But anyway, yeah. So, 4th of July, patriotism, the flag, Independence Day, I'm just kind of like, really? Okay. Woo. And the big deal, which, okay, I guess we gotta have a ballistic holiday too, is the fireworks, which I'm on the West Coast, and I think most places here, like, if they're letting you do that, it's really dumb. I saw someone, actually, it's in the video that I'm gonna link from this other person, the other one that I'm not talking about. But he was, well, you'll see, but he was just saying that he's on the West Coast, or he had been, and he was saying, I don't even know why fireworks are sold there, where there's just, do you not know about the fires every year, and they're just spreading inward, like, it's, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I I'm just not so enthusiastic feeling right now. I also do think though that it's going to be okay. Like, I think that all of the acting out and the violence, like, yes, people are going to die, and it happens. I'm sorry, and it feels terrible, but you cannot deny, especially these days when it's so random and just like could just happen right next to you, like someone's head could get blown off right next to you, which just happened to some random woman pushing a stroller. So the person that shot her set off some interesting life path for that child and the people around the woman who got shot, and the person themselves that did the shooting. So completely away from what all I was just talking about, that could be viewed as a very rich experience to live through. Even the dying. It just really depends on how you look at it. And so back to the 4th of July and the holiday and the patriotism and the democracy. I believe in democracy. I think we should have it. I think that for a lot of lame ass reasons, a lot of people are giving fascism a serious, you know, like thinking about it as, thinking like maybe so. But the motives for the people that want the fascism, I would counsel everyone to remember they're probably not your same motives, and whatever fascism that you see that they want to do or that they have or they're talking about enacting, it is not going to be the same for you. They can't all be Hitler, you can't all be the SS, like, and then you're going to run out of people eventually to mess with, and you're going to be attacking yourself. So, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at East Germany. When it was separate from the rest of Germany, and the what was going on there, that's what it looks like. So that doesn't exist anymore because it sucked and it didn't work for people, right? It's we got to remember, it's like all of a sudden always someone or some few people telling a whole bunch of us, and we listen like dodos, how to think and who to hate and what's wrong with stuff when they're robbing you blind, putting you in terrible situations like of places to live and opportunities to just move forward in life and be a productive, happy human being. I mean, it's worth looking at all the angles. That's all I'm saying. And that's all I see all the time is angles, and it drives me freaking fracking crazy. But I need to calm down because my baby's over here and he doesn't need all that static I got going. So, yeah, hopeful. There's a reason to be hopeful because not everyone is out there. That's not everyone is like that out there. Not everyone has those aspirations. I think a lot more people are the live and let live and let's be friends, let's just get along. And even, I mean, I think a lot of people like that understand that even if it's someone or something that you don't really care for, it's part of we are all part of this operation, this machine, this cooperative. And well, like I said, things are changes. So things are changes. Things are changing. So there's hiccups. There's rough patches. I think we're gonna learn to sort of straddle two worlds. I think we're gonna have to. That's the only way, or else we're just gonna be. I don't even know. I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to contemplate that. But what I do want to contemplate is we just have to learn to be more accepting of each other